Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
All right, I'm going to start with a question right here. And that question is, are you authentic? Are you being authentic? If you're not, you're probably missing out on many opportunities in life. And we're going to talk about that today, how you can be authentic. I know that she is. Allison Raleigh Clark is with us, and she's a spiritual life coach with journeytoheavenonearth.com. Welcome back, Allison. How are you doing?
I'm really good. How are you?
I'm good. Yeah, I think this is it's something that we need to talk about, especially starting a new year. And I've always heard that word out of all words connected to self-improvement, empowerment, authentic is like literally one of the first words I ever heard a bunch of years ago. Um, we let's define it for somebody that's not really sure what authentic means. How would you tell somebody?
Well, I was going to ask you now that you said that it's one of the first words that you heard. Like, how do you view it? Because I know when I used to hear it, it was just a word. I didn't know what it meant. Now I get it. So, how do you view it?
Authentic is being your true self and being true to yourself. So what's in here is what is out here, and you're living the life that you feel that you should be living, and you're not letting yourself be influenced from others or other situations. That's what I interpret from it. I don't know. Do you get that?
That's actually perfect. And I feel like it's one of the, if not the hardest thing we as human beings can do. We are so conditioned to be like everybody else, but I don't think everybody realizes we came here to be our own individual selves. Like, don't we want to have variety in our life instead of it reminds me of like an interview I saw with George Carlin. He's like, it's not that I don't like people. I don't like groups of people or even two or more. Because one on one, people are great. You get to like have that one on one communication. They're being who they are. And then you get them around, like, say, one other person, they can totally switch. And I see that in my friend groups all the time.
Yep.
It's like I have a friend that I've known for over 30 years, but when these people are with one other person, it's almost like I feel so disconnected. So it's about really owning who you are, but first you have to find out who you are, and that's really tough too because I don't think most people know who they are.
I totally agree with you. And I just got this flash. I just had this conversation not even more than an hour ago with a close friend whose spouse passed away like 15 months ago. And she's no longer working for the moment, just in transition and just moving forward. And she had a job offer, but it just doesn't make sense. And she said, I just feel like I should be working. I should be doing something. And I said, why? If you at this moment in time don't absolutely need to, you're finding yourself again because you were defined as something previously in your journey, and you think you should be defined as something by somebody who is working, but that's not who you really are. Just be who you are. And so many of us look at, somebody's defined by their job. Oh, he's a blank, he does that. Or he's a father, she's a mother. That you are those things, but that's not all that you are. That's not truly who you are.
That's exactly it. That's not even who we are at all. Those are titles
Right.
that society has given us or we give ourselves to make us comfortable. To say like, I'm a mother, I'm a father, I'm a businesswoman, or I'm a lawyer, I'm a doctor, or whatever. It makes you feel like you're fitting into society. But like, who are you really? Like, Steve, if you could have any superpower, what would it be?
To read your mind.
Don't you think that you can actually do that a lot of the times, especially with the business that you're in?
Yes, to some extent, but I need to trust my intuition more, but I'd like to know that I got it. Like there's no doubt whatsoever in doing that.
Well, once you start figuring out who you are, you actually can read people's minds. And the first thing is exactly what you said, trust your intuition. The first thing that pops up is 9 times out of 10, right. You're already doing it. We telepathically communicate with each other all the time. Before there is words, there were symbols, and before that, there was telecommunication or telepathy.
Ethic, right?
So so we used to do that, and now is to get back to ourselves to do that. So when we talked about last week about like the higher dimensions and leaving the third, transitioning right now to the fourth and going to the fifth, when we
Fifth, right?
get into the fifth, we are going to be able to read each other's minds. But in order to do that, and that sounds scary, right? Like I don't want someone to read my mind, but once you're healed and you're authentic, you have nothing to hide. So the whole point of being able to get into that higher vibration is to heal yourself, be authentic, then you will be able to communicate telepathically with each other. So that's actually
Hmm.
another superpower we are all going to have.
It just popped up when
To be
you asked
honest,
me. That was the first thing
yes.
that popped in my head. And I just want to go back to one thing with your title uh, comment. Isn't it interesting that when you meet somebody for the first time, you're at a party or whatever? Hi, my name is Steve. What's your name? Allison. Great time here. Have you tried the dip? Yeah, it's really good. What do you do? It's usually the first question somebody asks. What do you do? And
Mm.
then that defines somebody for what they have a role. And I know it's a default question that you ask somebody, but it's a title, and maybe you are living part of your authentic self under that umbrella, that title, your job, whatever, career, whatever, but it isn't really truly all of you. I just wanted to bring that up because it just flashed in my head because we always do that. When you meet
I
somebody.
love that. And if you actually love what you're doing, that is part of like who you are.
Yeah.
And I hope that like we can all get to a place in our professions that we love what we're doing.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people, I've been really back and forth and I've been having trouble with money. I've grown up with a lot of money issues. So in my healing process, I realized that was the last thing I had to work on. You know, I grew up in a family that like work is hard. You have to make money to provide and put a roof over your head. So money to me means struggle. And then I got on my journey going, we don't need money. Like the earth provides for us. Money's the root of all evil. And now I'm at, well, it's not, it's just energy. So if we can make money and do what we love, like you're just giving out more of that energy and then you're getting that back. Like I realize I want to make money so I can give more to people and meaning my time. Like I was thinking about that today. The last couple of days it's been popping in my head. And I'm like, someone asked the question, like, what would you do if you had all the money in the world? And everybody's responses were to make more money. It's like, well, no, that's not like you didn't get the question. If you had it all in the world, what would you do? I was like, I'd have so much more free time to heal people, to help people. And that is actually healing to me. So I don't think money really is the root of all evil. So I guess where I'm going with that is someone asked me, what do you do? Instead of saying like, I'm in this profession, I'd be like, I'm a healer. That's what I would love to say. That's who I am. You know what I mean? And if
Mhm.
people can start figuring that for themselves, then there's a conversation. If someone asked you, like, who are you as a person, you'd be like taken back. But what a cool question.
Right.
You have to like think about it. You're like, I don't know.
Yeah. What kind of person are you?
Yeah. You're like, well, I
Hmm.
want to say I'm a good person, but then all these like little things go in your back of your head. Well, last week I didn't give $1 to the man on the street or whatever. It's like we don't know who we are, and it's time to start figuring out and not worrying about what others think because they don't even know who they are. And they don't want you to know who they are because it's almost like you're throwing it back in their face about something they're scared to figure out too. They don't want to know because they're scared to find out maybe.
Hmm.
So you're not allowed to be who you are.
Yeah.
Everyone should start figuring it out and then their lives will be so much easier, especially like they'll stop living in so much fear and stop trusting what they're told. all the time, especially like when we talked about this pandemic. I think a lot of people are like looking back in the last couple of years and going, what was that all about? And I'm really trying to get people to stop living in fear, but it's so hard for me as well because we live in this 3D world. And I've been hearing lately, I don't like to throw a lot of this stuff out because I'm not going to be living in that world. But again, it came to my attention today. So I'm just going to mention it so I can release it. But like the Gates Foundation's coming out saying there's going to be another pandemic in 2025. And it's going to like affect like 500 million children and kill a billion people. And it's going to affect, if you're not die from it, you're going to be paralyzed or brain dead. And I was like, wow, the fear. They just won't stop having people live in fear. Can we all learn about the last couple of years that maybe this was a trial run because the big stuff is going to come? We can all just say, no more, enough is enough. And the way we do that is start figuring out who we are. And when you figure out who you are, you're like, this person doesn't live like that. You know what I mean? We live in love. So I want my superpower to be unconditional love. It's love, but I still try to figure out, is it unconditional? So I'm constantly working on that.
Hmm. I got to think about what that would be like as a superpower. You know, it's easy to say, "Wow, I want to know what's on your mind. I want to be able to read your mind." Um, I got to share with you, like you said, you got to throw it out to the universe. This morning, I woke up and I thought, why don't you start a foundation, a charity? You know, you've done me personally a lot of charitable work. Why not? And you said the word foundation as I was thinking the word foundation just now. Not kidding. There you go, universe. I'm throwing that out now.
I just got the chills. We do that all the time, right? And
It
we
was
don't
weird.
even know it.
It was
Like
weird.
yesterday, I'm babysitting my sister's dog for 7 weeks, right? And with the storm that we've had, this little guy like didn't want to put on his jacket. And the song came in my head, that cool kid song, like I want to be like the cool kids. So I was texting my sister because he was taking his jacket off. I was texting my sister, yeah, your dog put in my head that he wants to be like the cool kids this song because I communicate with animals. She's like, that song just popped in my head 10 minutes ago. I'm like, this happened 10 minutes ago. It's like we're always telepathically communicating with each other and we don't
Yep.
even know it. So let's start thinking good thoughts. And I would love you to start a foundation and I would love to like join into something with you like that because I've been trying to think of something like that recently too. But if you're thinking that like if that came in your head, that's a download from your higher self saying maybe you should start a foundation. Because where did that come from? What kind of foundation like would Steve like to start?
Well, you know what inspired it? I'll tell you. Um, got up later today. Just figured, yeah, let me just let's do a slower day. Just didn't get a lot of sleep last night, and I was scrolling the feed. Ryan Seacrest has a foundation where he builds studios in children's hospitals, and it gives them something to do, and then they can see, you know, the audio, the video on their TV, so it doesn't feel like you're in a hospital. And I was like, yeah, I'm not going to do that because he's doing that. But I thought about it. It's like, you know, I can use my talents. I build my own studios. I don't have somebody come in. I've been a geek since I was 9 years old. And I was like, interesting. And the word, you know, it's, I guess, the Seacrest Studio Foundation. I was like, the word foundation. Got it. You know, that there it is. Right. I was putting on my shoes. I'm like, came back in my head again. I was like, got to think a little bit deeper about that. But I agree. Things happen for a reason. Why is it downloading? Why is it jumping in my head? The challenge is acting on it and moving it forward. And a lot of times we'll have a thought, right? It could be a premonition, a gut feeling, and you don't act on it, or you don't think it's real. It's just a fleeting thought. But as I've learned from you, it's the real deal when it when it hits you.
Yeah, so like we don't act on it because we're trying to figure out the big part, how to get there. That's the wrong thing to do. And that's
Yes.
why we don't act on most of our stuff. All you have to do is get the thought in your head, write it down on a piece of paper and be like, foundation. And all of a sudden, maybe something will come up like children's foundation or foundation or something else. Write that down. There's your second step. Then here's the third. And everything goes in baby steps. And then maybe you meet someone that like has some
Yes.
foundation that you want to jump in. So the universe will provide you. They're like, the universe is like, stop with the end result. We'll get you there. But you have to make the initial steps, and they can be really small steps. Just like this whole healing journey, it's not like go out there to heal yourself. It's one baby step at a time. Because when you fix one thing, another thing comes up and another thing comes up. And that's why we don't act on these really great ideas, because it's like, oh no, I'm not good enough, or someone else will do it, or someone else has already done it.
Or there's
Just
so
like you
much
said,
involved.
Ryan,
Yeah,
there
right.
is, but there's also so much the universe will bring to you. And there's other people that you can get involved too. So
Sure.
you're like, well, I'm not going to do that because Ryan Seacrest already did it, but maybe I'll start something else. It's like, okay, sit down, write in a journal, and then just see what pops up, scribble on paper. That's your next step, and then just go with it.
Got to write it
Maybe
down.
the next time, next week when we talk, you'll be like, okay, I did think about doing a foundation, and this is where I'm thinking about going. That's a good step right there. Not like, oh, I made it happen. So in 1 week, just be like, let's see if I have an idea of what foundation I'd want. What is the universe telling me about a foundation? What are they trying to tell me?
It's so
That's
true.
your homework.
I'm on it. And part of it is I always help other people. So in the last week, I've helped with at least two charities and things that they've got going on. Had a half-hour phone call helping somebody last night with one. A friend of mine needed a logo for something. I have a marketing company, so I do graphics. I had somebody work on that. So I had to do it myself. But back to being authentic. What holds people back? Is it other people preventing you from being authentic? Is it like, for example, let's say your partner, your spouse, you want to pivot in one direction. They don't believe in that for whatever reason. Or let's say you've grown after a number of years and you're kind of going in this direction, but they're not. And now they're holding you back from being authentic. Is it things like that? Do you feel it's that?
Yeah, absolutely. I it definitely it starts with your childhood. It starts with your parents, and then it starts with your friend group, and then it goes into social media, and then it goes with your spouse. I mean, you're constantly say you're trying, and then someone's like, "No, no, like who do you think you are?" They give you the side eye, like, "What are you doing?" I mean, I remember like coming home from like I don't know. I think after college, I lived away for a while, and I came home and I was wearing like a hat I felt like wearing. I think it was like a cheetah hat. And my friends were like, nice hat. Like, when did you start wearing hats? I stopped wearing hats because of that. But when I lived away, I was wearing hats all the time. Something that small
Yeah.
can like change people. And I'm like, instead of someone being like, oh, that's really cool, or, just being supportive of you. We don't like to be supportive of other people because we're not supportive in ourselves. And I don't think we should take it personally. I think once you're strong enough to know who you are, you're going to be like, I don't care. Wear my hat. I mean,
But
like,
wait
just,
now, look at what you did back then. The way you internalize that. They may have been saying to you, basically, they're trying to say, that's a really cool hat. When did you start wearing hats? Inside, you're saying, oh, they're judging me for wearing a hat. I'm not going to wear that hat anymore. Maybe that's
that
from some.
could totally be it too. And think about it. I am almost 50 years old and I still think about that every time like I see a type of hat like that. I go, God, I remember when I used to wear hats and I liked it. And my friend group kind of made me stop. And it's not them. I made me stop. We make ourselves, not our spouses, not our parents, not our friend groups. We do it because we're so insecure. We don't want to be the outcast.
Mm-hmm.
We got to be like the thing that like made you different as a child that you were embarrassed to show yourself and you think is a problem. That's you. And that's where you can make your money off. Like it caught me when you said, I've been a geek, right? Since you're like 9 years old. That is what your profession got you to be. That geek in you, look
100%.
at you. You're helping people because you are a geek. You have your own business, your own podcast, like you're doing so much because of you're a geek.
I
It's
got
such
my
a
first
positive
job.
thing.
My first profession. I was on the radio at 17, professionally, youngest afternoon drive radio guy in the country. How did I get that job? I had no money. single mom. I wanted to be a DJ. So I wanted to mix and make tapes. And so I would take my twin sister's turntable when she wasn't home. I would get in trouble for her when she came home. And I built a mixer. I taught myself electronics at like 11 years old, 12, made myself a mixer, and I used to make up tapes. Now, fast forward to like 16, I met a guy interning at a cable station who was on a radio station. He took the tape out of my pocket because I was too embarrassed to submit it for a job, and I got a job. And 6 months later, I got a job in the number one station in the 12th largest market in the country just by being a geek. It was
Isn't
like,
that insane? See, since you were being authentically you and you're doing something that you love and you're being creative, the universe rewarded you. We are all creative beings. I grew up being told I wasn't creative at all. And
mm,
until the last couple of years of my awakening, like the other day, I just made this candle, right? It's like this cement candle. I'm like, who does that? Like,
that's
I
cool.
paint. Yeah, I just do these like little creative things, and I might not do anything with it except for like enjoy it for myself. Something small like that. And it's so meditative.
Yep.
But you turned yours into a business. Like my healing journey, I'm turning that into a business. And what that happened is being authentic pushed everybody away. It pushed away my family, my friends, my spouse, everybody because I changed. And I didn't really know it at the time, and I didn't have a choice because it's something that was happening to me, I thought, but it's really for me. Just like you being a geek, it's who you were. You turn into something positive. I'm turning my healing journey into positive to help other people's heal too. Before that, I've been a animal lover, like we talked about since I was 3. So all I knew was to be an animal trainer, animal educator. But there's something missing, and it was something I found out in me. Like
Mm.
I do a lot of past life regressions, and in my past life, I was a shaman, I was a medicine woman, I was a psychic, I was a warrior, I was a spiritual leader, and I was like, wow, this is all I'm doing now, and that's who I used to be. That's what was missing. All the things in my past life led me up to this moment. It was like I feel like most of us live hundreds of times, and it led us up to this moment of who we are here today.
It's
You know what
such
I
a
mean? They're all
shame
little experiences.
that we put those things away because it gives us joy, but others may judge. Side note, the reason I turned into a geek was because I was bullied for being a fat kid. So that's what that was my outlet at that time. And a song just dropped in my head. You remember the song Stranger, The Stranger by Billy Joel?
Yeah.
All right. That song is all about the mask we put on all different times. So if you're in a group of friends, that's that group over there. Let me put this mask on. Oh, I'm going to be hanging out with that. Or you're at home. Instead of facing yourself in the mirror, we put a mask on. It's kind of what
Yeah.
it's about. And we're doing that
Yeah.
and not being
I
authentic.
love that you brought up Billy Joel too and music. If we actually start listening to the music back from the 80s and 90s, um, there's a lot of stories in there about what's happening now and
Hmm.
who we are. Like these musicians, I feel like are here to tell us a story about us. We listen to the tune, we dance to it, but are we really listening to the words? I can't hear a song now without relating to it and going, oh my God, that was my life. Or, oh my God, this is my life. It's almost like the music is singing to us. So that song related to you in such a powerful way. Some people are like comedians because they had so much depression. They're probably the most depressed people, so they became comedians, very successful comedians.
Robin Williams.
Yeah, which is my favorite human in the entire world. Just because you can tell like his kindness that he has, and he wasn't a dark comedian, but he really, had a lot of demons inside, but he had such a big heart.
Yeah.
So you can be like a dark or depressed person, but have the hugest heart, and then you can just show it out into the public that way too. So there's so many things we can do with all these little quirks that we have.
We don't realize it though, but I realize it now that you talk about it. So that is your
Yeah,
gift. That is your gift that you make us think. And it's almost like it's a different camera angle that we're not, we're watching TV, we're seeing us this way, you're seeing life this way. Same thing with songs. Like if you're driving, you hear a song or it plays in your head, there's probably a reason that you're hearing it. And you should probably look at the lyrics because it just didn't come out of nowhere. There's a reason it started playing in your head. I'm sure of it. You got
I
to
do
look
it
into
all
it.
the time now. I don't hear a song without I go, what are you trying to tell me today? And I'll even just turn on the radio and it's a song and I'm like, really? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
the universe is always playing with us. It's our little map. And the more you realize that, just by you realizing that, guarantee you're going to start noticing more songs, and the universe is going to play you songs to be specific. If you keep ignoring it, they're just going to like give up on it and be like, okay, we're going to go to someone else and play with them. I play with the universe all the time, and I absolutely 100% thank you so much for saying that, because I'm constantly going, what is my gift? Like, there's so many things that I do. Like, I feel like I'm a jack of all trades, but I'm a master of none of it. But the one thing I've always been is a truth teller. And I've always thought outside the box. And the quirk in me, I was like, what was my quirk? It was like I was very quiet as a kid until I was about 13. And then I became very loud and talkative and very rebellious. And I went against the grain because I see the world in a different way. Well, once I woke up, I really see it in a different way. And now I'm telling like my version how I see other people. I always see the good in people, and that's why I always brought stray animals home.
Mm.
I brought stray people home all the time too, because I can see the good in them, even if they can't see it in themselves. But I will always like look outside the box. And it's the past few years been very frustrating for me. Like, how can you not see this? How can you not hear this song? I'll be like, pull someone going, listen to this song, or look what's what on TV right now, or look at this symbol I see. And people are just like, I don't get it. It's because I didn't realize like I can see what other people can't see.
You can.
And if you relate, if you have an open mind, you'll get it. And if you don't, you're just not there at that moment. And maybe you'll get it later with someone else down the road, or it'll pop in your head. But it's always like I plant these little seeds.
I'm the biggest skeptic on the planet. And
You're not.
I need it to be proven. And I've worked with some of the biggest psychics and even them, I texted a psychic last night, a good friend of mine. Hey, what do you think about this? And she'll fire stuff back. I'm like, yeah. And she's always been 95% accurate. But it took time for me to realize that. But I feel that I've gotten to a point where I stepped from one area to another area, and every once in a while, my toe goes back into the previous area in terms of trusting what's going on here and all of this. But once you start seeing it and you open up your mind to it, and you're just open in general to what's going on around you, it's pretty cool. Like, I almost feel bad for people that don't get it. They think that it's weird.
I was just saying this to someone recent, like a couple days ago. I go, I don't remember living in the world I used to live in that like most of the people live now. I live in the world of getting it now and seeing the world in a different way in the universe, and like listening to songs and how you're getting it. But how you say like every once in a while you stick your toe back in, I still do it too.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It's so hard not to. It's so hard not to question yourself and be like, was I just like overthinking these last 3 years? And then it's like, nope, there's that fear. There's that fear coming. And I go,
Yeah.
not today. And then I'll just switch my brain like a radio, and I'll just turn on a different channel in my head, and I'll think of something else, and I'm off that fear train again. But oh my God, I used to spin with it all the time until it's really hard to train your brain, but once you do, you can actually see how those thoughts sneak in, and those aren't
Yeah.
your thoughts. I go, I don't live there anymore. Stop it. Just like I said, I started getting fear about, oh my God, there's going to be another pandemic. And it wasn't because I'm worried about it, because I don't live there. I'm worried about like how the world's going to react, because when the majority of the conscious lives a certain way, we all tend to have to live that way.
But
So
it's
I
also,
just
I,
kind
I
of want to,
believe you can't control it. So you feel, you wish you could just go in everybody's head. Hello, don't worry about it. Don't
Oh
do the
God,
don't do the COVID-19 thing again. Wake up,
it's
people.
so hard not to.
Right.
But I gotta keep telling myself I have to lead by example. So instead of trying to tell people, you get it out of your head, go on your merry way, live your life. When they see you just like living the perfect little life you wanted, they'll be like, wait, maybe she has something right. You know what? Because the COVID-19 hit, I was in a dark place, but I still never fell into that trap. What I did was I bought a boat. I went out on the lake all the time.
Mm,
I got out in nature, and that's who I found my spirituality and my sense of self. I got away from that.
good for
So if
you.
I was in a dark place then, and now I'm in such a lighter place, wow, if this hits again, people are going to not be able not to see where I am at that point. I'll be like, follow this route. I'm not going to tell you, just lead by example. And I think everybody should start leading by example because people are going to be where they're going to be in the moment where they're in the moment. That's their journey. I can, like I said, plant the seeds and they might get it down the road, get it at the time or never get it at all. But like, I got to keep going that way.
Well, I
You know what
just
I mean?
the friend that, and they're telling us we're out of time. it the friend that I referred to before, and she said to me, "Had you just seem like it's things are okay." I'm like, "They're not. It's not always that way, but there is one way. You just said it. Keep moving forward. Keep moving forward. Yeah, you might look back, but you got to keep moving forward because if you don't, like think about in a stream. Just you got to keep going. Um, but it's
Row, row, row your boat,
yeah,
son, gently down the stream. Life is just but a dream.
yeah.
And I do that. All of those three words gets me through the day several times, sometimes a day or a week. If something pops in my head, I go, keep moving forward. I did that today. Keep moving forward. And then I was like, you can see the tunnel
You can
in the
see
way
it.
you want to go. And that just leave it behind. Like you said, you can't control it. You go that way.
Yeah,
And
because you can.
it'll follow.
and
You can't
and
control
you can't. I want to tell everybody your website is journeytoheavenonearth.com. You are available if anybody wants to talk to you. If anybody, if this resonates, and I'm sure if we're giving people things to think about today, and they may have, song may have popped in their head. They may have had a thought, and
it. Yeah,
maybe they're wondering, I wonder if it's that universe thing. You are available to talk to anybody, even a free consult, right?
of course. And remember what you always say, Steve, there are no coincidences.
There
And
aren't.
you're not that skeptical. I love talking to you. If you were skeptical all the time, it'd be so hard pulling conversations out of you. You're not, you're so open minded. And you obviously surround yourself by such a great group of people.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.